911 emergency. How can I help you?
My mom and my baby are still up at Lahaina Road.
Who?
My mom and my baby.
Your mom and your baby. Okay. Did you talk to them? Where are they?
I think they're at Kahena Street.
Kahena Street?
They got out of the car.
They got out of their car?
They got out of the car and they headed up towards up the street.
They routed us straight through on the King Hall Road instead of going down to the main highway, and then now they shut the gate for everybody to go through, and they put us going back towards the fire now. So what are we supposed to do? In the middle of brushland.
Okay, hold on, ma'am, hold on.
Ma'am, what do I do? I'm at Lahaina Set. The fire is coming our way.
If the fire is coming your way, then leave if you have to leave. Evacuate. Don't wait for somebody to tell you to do it.
But I cannot get out of my door. There's flames blowing into the house.
What is your address? So you're at
Lahaina Set?
Okay, we are on our way, ma'am, but try your best to see if you can get out of your unit.
And I got a baby with me.
Oh my God, dude. Somebody down. Let's go, guys. We're gonna do nothing for her. Oh my God. Let's go. We're gonna do nothing for her. What the fuck, dude? Let's go. Go, people, go. People aren't there. Oh my God, bro.
So actually there have been quite a few of us to jump on this train and figure out what happened this day. And as a result, it's created a very unique circle of us that talk back and forth. We share each other's opinions, ideas, findings, and then we also promote each other. And for me, that's something I can get behind. Everyone in our circle has their reason for why they jumped on board when the Lahaina fire took place. And although these opinions and reasons vary, for me it was the 2,000 plus children that I feel lost their lives. Despite what the state numbers finally came out to be, which I feel is incorrect. So the whole entire reason for creating this video is based upon this 102 number that the state and county feels comfortable with. We all feel deeply that this number is incorrect. How you got your information, where you got your information, and from who, we all come up with the same assertion that their number is very far off. So here, compiled in this video, I've done my best to find, over a period of time, what I feel speaks volumes over what the state is trying to force us to believe. Or should I say state and county. It really doesn't matter at this point. It's irrelevant. But the idea is, will we ever discover exactly what this agenda is? I would like to think so, but I highly doubt it. So I've done my best here to compile what I feel is enough evidence for at least some type of congressional oversight of this fire. And I really would hope people would get behind this video because it speaks volumes of the evidence that I could find that doesn't allow the number 102 to sit very well with anyone with a logical mind. So it's my hope, with all you folks together, and with people like Eric West and Michelle Melendez and Breast Junkie and the Maui Community Investigation, and the list goes on and on. If I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. So I appreciate you guys being aboard, and well, I hope you get what I've gotten out of this video. And what I've got is a clear, decisive conclusion that 102 does not fit, any way you try to put it. Thanks again to Eric West and all the people that are going to facilitate this video and promoting this video in some type of way. I deeply appreciate that. If this is what you consider yourself saying, then I'd hope you'd share it. The main thing is we get our voice out there and we're heard. So I want to apologize early on if I've added graphic detail or video clips to this video. It's to get people's attention that don't get it or won't get it unless they actually see something like this. So it's not my intent to make people gored out and, hey, look at this sick video over here. It's not that at all. It's the idea of, hey, look, if you don't get it by watching this, you're not going to get it at all. So again, my apologies. Thanks again for watching. Aloha. So we begin this video down on Front Street with the road blockages.
There's a reason Jonathan Herzog's video has been viewed over 1 million times. It tells the story of Front Street in those crucial hours of 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and 5 p.m. Jonathan Herzog's day didn't just end with roadblocks, but it began with them during his AM commute from Kihei.
And then as I got into Lahaina, they were redirecting us all around through these back streets, and branches were coming down.
On his way to Kaanapali, Herzog started filming as he entered town, sensing unusual conditions.
The winds were the worst winds I've ever been in my life.
When he was later heading home through Lahaina town just before 3 p.m., he hit this roadblock on the southbound highway at Kapuna Kea before the Cannery Mall. Herzog backtracked to where Front Street meets the highway. Traffic moved well enough at that time to rejoin the highway near Lahaina Luna here at 3:02 p.m. But then, Herzog says, traffic snarled with downed trees and crews working to the south.
Then I ended up turning around and trying to go north again, thinking, well, at least I'll get out of Lahaina.
But to the north, the gridlock was worse, he says, so he detoured over on Baker and then south again on Waine'e. At 3:19, his camera shows a police vehicle blocking access to the highway at Papalaua. But nothing had eased up, so without GPS, he heads north to look for an open route. His first view of the fire at 3:24 p.m. on the hillside, and just before 4 p.m., he ends up in this line of cars on Front Street, in gridlock.
My goal is to get into the Kingdom Hall parking lot.
Just sat there, I think it was a good 25 minutes, something like that.
Holy cow, dude. So the smoke is virtually blocking out the light. I am going to make my way down to the water.
At 4:26, Herzog abandoned his car at Kingdom Hall and walked to Malo Wharf.
It was obvious the fire was out of control, so that's when I decided to leave the vehicle completely.
Passing vehicle after vehicle, he noticed of those on the bridge.
All of those cars were still sitting there, just same exact spots.
KITV4 reported on the other side of the Cannery Mall that Herzog passed by in the 4 p.m. hour. The highway was completely shut down for 2.5 hours at Keawe Street until at least 5:24 p.m. Traffic routed towards Front Street. At 5:30, Herzog comes to the end of Front Street, and to his surprise,
looks like 2 police vehicles parked kind of nose to that exit for Front Street, kind of at a V like this. The traffic had basically bottlenecked right there. So there were cars in both lanes trying to go north by this point. But everyone was stopped on Front Street right there.
As the maintenance worker walked past the gridlock, heading north on foot, at 5:33 p.m. motorists had been fleeing into the water, as seen in Noah Tompkinson's video, 1 mile to the south of the Front Street roadblock near Baker, 2 blocks south of where Herzog had abandoned his car. I asked the chief of police directly at the last press conference, were command and control for fire and police in contact that afternoon in the Emergency Operations Center? He declined to answer that. but says the police were directing the public away from dangerous power lines. Hawaiian Electric says those power lines were de-energized as of the morning. Reporting from Lahaina, Jeremy Lee, KITV4 Island News. It's 4:11 p.m. on August 8th, an hour and 15 minutes into the afternoon Lahaina fire. At the exact moment that Travis Miller shot this video of vacant Highway 30 closed off at Keawe Street, a call comes in to Hawaiian Electric.
Hi, Miko, Police Department. Yes. Just asking if you guys can shut down all of the electric off of Lahaina Luna, above and below the bypass.
It's off right now.
It's all off?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Hawaiian Electric told KITV4 the 4:11 p.m. call did not involve the utility's incident management team, that the company had just tweeted was in contact with MEMA. The recording is of police dispatch calling into HECO's operations center. MPD asked about the power lines on Lahaina Luna Road, not on Highway 30 north of Keawe, where MPD maintained this highway closure seen here at 2:55 p.m. to at least 5:24 p.m. seen here. A span of 2.5 hours. 20 minutes after the MPD call, at 4:30 p.m., Maui County says the EOC was fully activated. But by then, this parking garage on Baker Street is already on fire.
On Front Street and Baker and Maui, it's the whole roof is on fire.
Okay, is this an apartment complex or is it a...
I do not know, but we are caught in massive traffic and we're covered in ashes and embers, and there's a lot of people honking and trying to get out of the road. If there's anything you guys could do, because the ashes are engulfing our car and like the flames are going on our car.
Okay, I'm sorry. We have the fire department and the officers on their way to that area.
Okay, it's I'm sorry. It's just really scary and
I know.
Everyone's moving.
I know. I'm sorry. We're trying to get somebody out there.
Okay, if we could just get like a road clear for all of us to get out, because a lot of people are scared.
Okay, they're on their way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Hi, I'm calling down from Lahaina. We're on Front Street in Baker. There are a bunch of cars stuck in traffic down here, and the structures around us are on fire.
Okay, so are you able to drive away from those structures or turn around? Because
we're in stop traffic, and we don't have any way to go.
And neither does anybody else at that point, right? So are you able to either work your way around, or is the smoke really thick, you can't get out and walk or away? You know what I mean? We want to pull you away from the area as much as possible.
Yeah, the smoke is too thick. We definitely can't get out and walk.
Okay.
And we're trying to figure out if there's a way that the traffic can move so we can at least get out of the area.
They're trying their best, Mom. Again, they're trying their best. We've got all these huge fires going on.
The fire was so hot that what we find is the tragic finding that you would imagine. So the fires come through and it's hard to recognize anybody, but they're able to determine if someone did perish. I can share, I've twice been in. I was there Thursday and then yesterday, and I chose not to go into Lahaina today. To be totally honest, there's nothing to see. But that's what you see, and obviously there will not be any survivors in the area left. And now, as we put up some temporary cell capacity, people are calling each other, so the number of missing went from in the 2000s down to 1,300. And look, our hearts will break beyond repair, perhaps, if that means that many more dead. None of us think that, but we are prepared for many tragic stories. They will find 10 to 20 people per day, probably, until they finish. And it's probably going to take 10 days. It's impossible to guess, really. The fire was so perilous that it took lives, it didn't leave survivors. Wow. That's really what you're experiencing. When you see mostly fatalities and very few injuries, that tells you it was a natural disaster. Look, if you put a fire truck in the way of the flames that were coming through at 1,000 miles an hour, the fire truck would have been incinerated, the people. Yeah.
We go now to Hawaii's Governor, Joshua Green, in Honolulu. Good morning. Thank you for getting up so early, and I'm so sorry for what is going on in your state.
Thank you, Margaret.
Governor, can you tell us how many are still unaccounted for and how long will it take to identify remains?
More than 1,000 are unaccounted for, about 1,050. It will take several weeks still. Some of the challenges are going to be extraordinary. As you reported, 85% of the land of the impact zone has been covered now by what amounts to an army of search and rescue teams and 41 dogs. So at 85% of the land's been covered. Now we go into the larger buildings, which require peeling back some of the floors and structures. That last 15% could take weeks.
Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Hawaii. And the Constitution of the State of Hawaii. And that I will faithfully discharge my duties. And that I will faithfully discharge my duties. As Mayor for the County of Maui, State of Hawaii. As Mayor for the County of Maui, State of Hawaii. To the best of my ability. To the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Many questions remain about the devastating fires that swept through West Maui nearly 2 weeks ago. KITV4's Jeremy Lee has just returned from Maui. He has been reviewing archive footage, which shows county officials may have had outdated information as the crisis unfolded.
When did they know, and what time did county leaders realize they were no longer dealing with a brush fire, but an urban inferno, threatening every living thing in Lahaina town? A KITV4 live interview conducted at 6 p.m. with Mayor Bisson on Tuesday, August 8th, when Lahaina town was already burning and some evacuees had already fled to the ocean, reveals how behind the county was with receiving vital information from West Maui. But when was the afternoon, the second evacuation order?
I don't know what time that was.
Thank you all for your time.
That was Friday at a day 11 media availability. But a week and a half earlier, on the day of the fire, KITV4 asked Maui Mayor Richard Bisson in a live 6 p.m. newscast if there were any evacuations to Lahaina area shelters.
Any word on how many people are currently using the shelters at this time?
Because of the structures that are being impacted, those numbers have increased. I can't tell you the exact number right now.
The county Facebook page and release did not post an evacuation order as it did previously for Kula at 3:50 p.m., but simply noted of the bypass area of Lahaina Luna that evacuations are occurring.
I'm happy to report that the road is open to and from Lahaina, Hokiokio Road.
The mayor appears unaware here at 6:03 p.m. that Front Street has already been burning, and that nearly 2 hours earlier Lahaina town was shrouded in smoke, as seen here at 1010 Front Street on the north side of town.
4 o'clock in the afternoon here.
A half hour before the mayor's interview, evacuees had already fled into the water at 5:33 p.m. when this video was shot.
Smoke starting to come, which means the fire's starting to die out.
And this video from the highway to the south of Lahaina shows the town up in smoke at 5:34 p.m.
But again, we had some challenges earlier today trying to get people in and out of Lahaina. That road opened at about 5 p.m.
Which would mean due to down power lines, Hokiokio Place was shut down before 5 while the fire was spreading, hindering southbound evacuees from accessing the main road leading uphill from town to the southbound bypass. The mayor at 6:03 p.m. makes no mention that the fire had moved past the Lahaina bypass, over Honoapilani Highway, through town, or reached Front Street.
So we have reports of structures, older buildings that have been burned in Lahaina. Our update is actually going to come in at about 7 p.m.
But 7 p.m. would be hours after the first images of Lahaina burning. Coming up on 2 weeks, those in West Maui continue to ask, at what point were those manning the county's response system in Wailuku even aware that an urban inferno had already swept through the beloved town of Lahaina? Now, regarding that 3:30 flare-up, a county Facebook post does call for evacuations at 3:50, but in upcountry Kula, there is no mention of Lahaina. Only later at night does a Facebook post use the language, multiple evacuation orders are in place, but that information is first released with a timestamp of 9:45 p.m. at night. Jeremy Lee, KITV4 Island News.
It's the Maui Police Department.
Okay, and what's my crime? You're literally pushing me.
The press conference is
over. I don't f***ing care if the press conference is over. Get out of the way. Sorry. All right, so sir, 110 cadavers, but we can't identify. We can't identify how many of them are children. This is get out of my fucking dude. Get off my boat.
Relax, sir.
No, I'm not gonna get.
Relax.
No, I'm not gonna.
Okay.
Not gonna relax, dude. No, I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm trying to ask a fucking question, and we can't get the answer for it.
At the time of this fire. Meanwhile, a FEMA official tells me that more lives could have been saved had he activated those sirens.
Todd Maglioka is leading one of the 28 search and rescue task forces combing through Lahaina and collecting human remains.
Where are you finding most of the remains lately as you continue your search?
Anywhere where there's a bed.
Anywhere where there's a bed.
A bed.
People were asleep.
People were asleep. People were in various stages of fleeing their location. As many attempted to escape a wall of racing flames.
3 of my friends and 1 friend, 2 dogs died.
From Maui's Lahaina.
Everybody we know lost their homes. Every apartment.
We don't know anyone yet who kept their homes.
James and Tennille Brueggemann sent us this video showing the damage in Lahaina. Burned out cars just left in the street.
If these cars are trying to get out of town, with my gas, we're going to make it.
Exactly like a war zone. People, dead people in the streets, dead animals in the streets, cars abandoned, everything burned. Looks like it got bombed. It really does.
You actually saw bodies in the street?
Yes.
Ended up burning down with my little brother in it.
When the brother texted to say he saw fire, he says they eventually found the remains of his 15-year-old brother clutching the family's dog.
I should have even stayed that day. I should not have gone to work. I could have been one of the victims, or I could have saved my little brother.
Is that families who would normally be busy at work and school this week are making trips to the county morgue to identify loved ones. Our Chelsea Davis reports from Wailuku.
Family members have been showing up here at the Maui Police Department forensic facility in Wailuku. Although their loved ones haven't been officially identified, they tell me they know in their heart that they're here. Some even brought tea leaf to line the perimeter for protection. Tony and Brenda Ke'au came to MPD's forensic facility in Wailuku to pay their respects. He says he knows deep down that his mother, 83-year-old Gwendolyn Kanani Pua'u, who lived off Lahaina Luna Road, is here.
I feel sorry for the other families, what they lost. They lost their family, their homes, and Maui is hurting.
One by one, Matson containers showed up to the facility on Tuesday. I saw morgue operations specialists loading and offloading human remains into 2 of them. Officials say some containers are full of extra supplies that were brought in to handle the magnitude of this catastrophe. Reporting in Wailuku, Chelsea Davis, Hawaii News Now.
I broke all the possible traffic rules that you can think of. I do not know why I didn't have any warnings. The authorities claim that the siren is only for tsunamis. There's so many families that died because they were sleeping. They didn't know. A siren would have at least tell them, hey, something's happening. No text messages, nothing, absolutely nothing. And the next day I came back to get my animals, and I saw all the vehicles that I was standing in traffic to escape town. They were still in there, all burned down. And it was only locals pulling bodies out of the water and pulling people out of the water because we have no help.
We found ourselves trapped on Front Street with fires coming at us. We had to make a decision to jump in the water. And at that time we did when the flames was too hot to stay in the car. And we decided to go into the ocean. And at that point I met that family that had 5 kids. And I was given the 2-year-old to hold. And I had him for a number of hours. It was like an explosion going off everywhere, like a fire goddess, just like throwing fireballs all over the place.
This is not even the worst of it. Still get dead bodies in the water, floating, and on the seawall. They've been sitting there since last night. We've been pulling people out since last night, trying to save people's lives. And I feel like we're not getting the help we need.
This man from Lahaina says he knew the roads like the back of his hand, and he went in and out of Front Street many times with at least 4 truckloads of people. He dropped people off out of the danger zone, and then he went back inside. The Lahaina firestorm was coming from both ends of Front Street. Lahaina resident Kikoa Lansford says it was so smoky the day looked like night.
I seen a woman, and she was, pretty burnt up. Not to the point where she would die, but pretty bad. And I gave her a ride, and somebody just told me turn around and go back, grab another one. They was in a lot of pain. Some of them I grab them, and then I feel bad for them. Like I grab them and they scream, I do remember that everybody lost their slippers. I'll tell you that. And the ground was super hot. So, and I was in slippers myself, and it was hot from my feet. I saw dead bodies, smoke. Burnt people hiding from the fire that were dead.
There was a group of people hiding behind a dumpster. It was their only method to try to hide from the fire. And they died. All together. Is that what you saw?
Yes. That was pretty much what it was. The worst part is the kids.
You saw children who perished?
Gila guys. Ubingnya itu yun ani? Sakit mo ngayon. Uy. Tutok ni kuna. Kasabok na. Real in the field. In the fucking field. Bruh. This is nuts. Look, I think that's somebody who mucking. And I think somebody who mucking right there. Bruh. How the fuck? You should not get out. Is there another dead body? Trust your instincts. I'm sorry, Wahine. Calamine. That is messed up. Sorry, everybody. I apologize. I apologize.
So let's take a look at some numbers here. There were over 13,261 people living in Lahaina pre-fire, according to the census released October 10th, 2023. So according to the 2022 census, there was 12,906 residents in the town of Lahaina. So I remember when they released these numbers on the news here locally, this raised a lot of concern and debate, and the internet exploded with theories and conspiracies. The number released by the Department of Education of children that didn't register or were not contactable for school was 2,025. So what I admired was the Maui Fire People's Locator. As a Facebook page, you can scroll down on the page and look for names of people that you might know and find out the condition, whether they've been deceased or found alive. But what I found very interesting is the number of people that are on this list. When you scroll to the bottom, there's only 6,359. Now this is a subject that a lot of people don't know about. They're actually working in Lahaina from other countries with their green card. Mexico having the strongest population of over 7,500 on just the island of Maui. None of these individuals were counted or been reported. From everything that has been discussed in this video, and you're trying to generate some numbers, consider this. You have Front Street. You have people that died in their cars, people that died walking trying to get to the water. You have people that died in the sea. Governor Green, he talks first about 1,300 bodies that are still missing. And in his second interview with Face the Nation, over 1,050 bodies, most likely children. And what I feel is a smoking gun is the FEMA team leader for body retrieval, Todd Maglioka, who, by the way, is also a battalion chief for the fire department in Tacoma, Washington. When he was asked by a CBS News journalist, where is he finding the bodies lately, his reply was, everywhere there's a bed. When we do the math on how many structures there were that day, 2,207, and 86% of them were homes. That comes out to just under 1,900. That number alone is staggering. But why would he say it if it wasn't true? And then the several different clips of locals that were talking about what they've seen that day. There were bodies on the ground. There were bodies all over. And why would they bring in 10 massive containers? You don't bring in 10 containers anticipating 100 bodies. So what I admired is the FBI mobile refrigerated morgue. This thing can be assembled and utilized anywhere in the United States. And it comes with his own team of morticians. They don't just move this anywhere in the world unless it's necessary. I'd like to take the time out to honor and thank Eric West. He documented what we all wanted to see. It's people like yourself that are true humanitarians, always looking out for somebody else. Aloha, Eric. The truth will come out one day. Will we see justice? That's hard to tell.